Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. And I've been playing quite a bit of World of Warships lately, and I thought, you know what, be ashamed to waste the video. Let's get it all up on YouTube. Obviously edited to, make me look a lot better than I actually am. I'm not stupid. We're going to trim all the fat out, obviously. Well, I say that, and yet I'm still showing you this particular battle. This has actually been sitting around on my hard drive for a while. This is the Molotov, the Tier 6 premium Soviet cruiser with 3 triple-barreled 180mm gun turrets. Now you can probably tell, because, well, the enhanced minimap features aren't there, that this is not from the latest version of World of Warships. This was actually when I was test driving the Molotov. And I got the Molotov to test drive at the same time as I got the Campbelltown, so this particular video clip must have been sitting on my hard drive for at least 2 months, and I just never got around to showing you it, mostly because it's hideously embarrassing. Oh, what the hell, I'm not proud. I'm going to show it to you anyway. Now, I don't have a huge amount of experience of driving the Molotov, but initial impressions are guns are good. They're kind of halfway between the guns on the Cleveland and the guns on the Auber or the Pensacola, for example. They're 180mm guns, it's got 9 of them in 3 turrets. And the fact that these Soviet cruisers have got these 180mm, sort of mid-range between the 203mm that you get on the Tier 7 Americans and the Tier 6 and 5 Japanese, and the sort of slightly bigger than destroyer caliber guns that you get on ships like the Cleveland, made it really hard for me to get used to exactly what it was I should be doing with the Molotov. If you've got the 203mm guns on a ship like the Pensacola, for example, then you load armor piercing and you go after cruisers because they don't fire very quickly, but they hit hard. If you've got the Cleveland, for example, with lots and lots and lots of lower caliber guns, you tend to load high explosive and just ruin the day of battleships and destroyers. And if you get the chance to fire some armor piercing into cruisers, well then go ahead and do it. But the Cleveland reloads fast enough that that's not really such an issue if you have to swap and chop and change between different ammunition types. The Molotov, on the other hand, it's neither one thing nor the other. And so I thought, well, I'll stick to the armor piercing and I'll prioritise the cruisers and see how that works out. And it works out quite well. There's an enemy Pensacola on the other side of that island, and he's coming back to try to stop those 2 destroyers on our team from capping, which means he is going to have his attention fully occupied by those 2 guys in the smoke screen, and he's going to have high explosive loaded. This was almost a perfect ambush, and then I got spotted, and you can see me checking around for the various different channels, because if I get spotted and I can't see what it is, it's going to be a destroyer. So I'm keeping an eye on for torpedoes, and unfortunately the Pensacola is actually paying attention. And he's swung his guns around, waiting for me to come around the side of the island, and there he is. Unfortunately for him, I've got armor piercing loaded, I've got the broadside of his ship to shoot at, and he was anticipating shooting up some destroyers, and so he's got high explosive loaded, which is really good news for me, because the armor on the Molotov is rubbish. And again, the armor on the Pensacola is rubbish as well, and this armor piercing is going to absolutely wreck him. He's turned to get his guns firing at the destroyers and the smokescreen and the cap, and that means he's just run himself aground, and now there's a limit to the number of guns that he can actually get pointing at me, and I've just knocked one of them out, so hooray. Still, shooting into the rear of the ship like that with armor piercing is not going to do a massive amount of damage. The stern of the ship isn't a particularly big target, and firing armor piercing into the superstructure is going to do damage, but it's not going to do a huge amount of damage. So what I ideally want this guy to do is slowly reverse the ship back while turning in order to present a nice big flat broadside target for me once again. A little bit more. Yeah, that's alright, but if you could just a little bit more, that's around about perfect. Lovely, lovely. Yeah, that's it. Spot on. Just hold it there. Just hold it there. Just let me reload. Yeah, I'm not too worried about your secondaries. Almost done. If you could just hold it there and smile, and bingo. Thank you very much. That was very generous of him, wasn't it? Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Hang on a minute, Jingles. I thought you said this particular battle was hideously embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the Pensacola, but it wasn't very embarrassing for you. What's going on? Just you wait. You know what it's like when you get your hands on a new ship? You forget to do things, like you forget to give the captain skills, or you forget to put the flags on it, or you forget to give it camouflage, or any number of different things that you have to remember to do before you take a new ship or a new tank in World of Tanks into your first battle. Well, I forgot something fairly critically important on the Molotov. See if you can guess what it is. Right now I'm stuck between two battleships. There's that New York up ahead. Now he's only tier 5, but he has more health remaining than that Colorado behind me. However, the New York is closer. So I decide, well, I can run away from one while charging the other. So I decide to go for the New York. And of course he's waiting for me to come around the side of this island because the Colorado's spotting me, and what's this? Boom! Now he's citadeled me and set me on fire. That was a high explosive penetration. That's just how terrible the Molotov's armour is. So that changes things somewhat. I don't think I'm going to survive the engagement with the New York. What to do? Well, I've got him burning up forward. I'm going to attempt to set him on fire amidships. And now, because I don't anticipate getting out of this alive, I'm going for ramming speed. And there's probably a bunch of you who've already figured out exactly what it is I'm doing wrong here. And there we go, he's now burning in 2 separate places. And I'm now in range of his secondaries, and I'm losing more and more health, and I'm just... Hang on. He knows what I'm doing. He can see... I've got the rudder hard over. The Molotov does not turn particularly well. I found this one out the hard way. And the New York knows, and now I've set him on fire again, he knows I'm going for the ram. And he's manoeuvring to avoid it. And I've taken another big hit, and the Colorado's now shooting at me as well, and I think, well, hang on a minute. The gun turrets on the New York turn very, very, very slowly. Maybe I can still get out of this if I can just get around him and burn him to death before he can swing those gun turrets around. Unfortunately, I've set him on fire again, but the Molotov does turn very, very slowly, and I'm not quite fast enough to outturn his gun turrets. And his rear turrets swing around, and I'm done. So, well, there was no way I was getting out of that alive. Oh, hang on a minute. The Molotov's got torpedoes. Jingles, you noob! Yes, I know. I completely forgot. It's not the first time I've done something like that, and I am sure it won't be the last. In fact, I know it wasn't the last, because about 2 weeks after this, I was test driving the Indianapolis, and remembered, I actually was thinking of this battle at the time, and I was thinking, right, I'm not going to make that mistake twice. I was in the Indianapolis, I was charging down, I think it was in North Carolina, and I thought to myself, I'm going to get to within torpedo range, and I'm not going to forget about the torpedoes this time. And I got to within what I thought was the Indianapolis's torpedo range, and then looked down and realised the Indianapolis doesn't actually have torpedoes, Jingles. So I just did this instead.
Enemy battleships sunk.
Oh, and it was a Colorado, not North Carolina. Meh, doesn't matter. Totally worth it either way. Anyway, back to the game in the Molotov. Despite the fact that I completely derped out and forgot I had torpedoes and should totally have killed that New York and then gone on to bigger and better things, well, I still did all right out of it. But it was a shame because that game could have been epic. As it was merely really, really good up until the point where it was hideously, embarrassingly bad. But, like I said, that's not the biggest torpedo fail that you're going to see in today's video. That's coming up towards the end. But first, this. This was nearly a disaster. That Amagi, paying no attention whatsoever to the Hatsuharu-class destroyer, right down the channel in between the middle of those two islands. I saw him, knew there were going to be torpedoes coming, tried to get the Indianapolis turned around, only to find this Amagi crossing my T, and I had to slow down or force him into the path of the torpedoes, which wouldn't have been very nice, and then risk taking a torpedo hit myself. As it was, I just managed to get the nose of the ship around in time and avoided getting a very, very nasty hit from that tier 7 Japanese destroyer. And now my blood's up. I'm going to get this little bugger. Not the best ship in the game for chasing down destroyers though. For a start, while the Indianapolis is fast, I'm not as fast as him. And all he has to do is stop firing his guns and I'm not going to see him. But I know that there are going to be torpedoes coming towards me. Still, I'd rather be in a Cleveland for this kind of job with the rapid firing lower caliber guns that are very, very good at hunting down and killing destroyers. But I'm not in Cleveland, I'm in an Indianapolis, so I'm just going to have to do the best I can. I hope this guy makes a mistake. He's going to have reloaded his torpedo tubes very, very soon. So what I don't want to do is just be sailing in a straight line. So I'll start turning. Just going to vary my course and my speed. Just keep making random course changes and then throttling up, throttling down. And oh crap! I zigged when I should have zagged. Oh, this is going to hurt. Don't think so. See that? All skill, no luck. Well, anyway, the Campbelltown finally made it into the premium shop after being delayed for God knows how long. So, a couple of days ago, I rushed out, bought myself one, and took it out for a spin. Ended up in a little Tier 3 battle, which is nice because it's a Tier 3 destroyer. And, you know, I like this ship. I mean, I accept that it has limitations. The unique selling point of the Campbelltown, other than the fact that it's one of only 2 British ships still available in World of Warships, but the unique selling point is the torpedoes. It's got very, very long-range torpedoes for a Tier 3 destroyer, 7.5 kilometer range, but they're slow, and they've got a long reload. This is not the kind of ship where, well, when you've seen replays of people in kamikaze R's and minakazes, they're the last ones left alive on their ship against 4 or 5 enemies, and they just keep sailing around, staying outside of detection range and torpedoing the crap out of everything left on the enemy team. You're never going to be able to do that in the Campbelltown. The torpedoes just don't reload fast enough, and the game, there is not going to be enough time left in a game in the situation where you're the last one left alive in your team to carry a losing team in the way that you can with, well, other destroyers. Also, the way the torpedo tubes are mounted, there's one on the port side, there's one on the starboard side, which means that in order to fire all of your torpedoes at a target, you're going to have to turn the ship around, and that can be tactically dangerous. As well as that, it only has 3 guns, and, well, the way they're mounted means you can very, very rarely fire more than 2 of those guns at one target at the same time. And sometimes you can only fire 1 of those guns at a target at the same time. Like if somebody's chasing you, 1 gun, or sometimes none of the guns, are all that you can bring to bear on the target. Nevertheless, I do like it. At least it's better than the Mutsuki. That's only got 2 guns, and it's Tier 6. Oh, more on the Mutsuki later, by the way. Yeah, that's a hell of a disappointment after the Minakaze at Tier 5. And yet, I kind of like it too. What's going on here, Jingles? Do you just like bad ships? Possibly. I mean, I like the TOG 2 in World of Tanks, and that's terrible. Anyway, match on, and I'm going to Cap C. Our carriers have scouted the cap ahead for me, so I'm reasonably confident I can get in there without being spotted. Enemy battleship spotted off the starboard beam. And he's a tempting target, because, well, he's a battleship, I'm a destroyer. But he's outside of range, and I can't cap and get over there and sing him at the same time. So must focus, must be disciplined, get into the cap circle, establish an early points lead, give the enemy team something to fight over, and then go and play with the battleships. That's the theory, anyway. But I'm keeping an eye on him, and ooh, hello. Okay, he's not alone, and I'm spotted. That must be a destroyer. Yep, there he is. And it's an enemy Campbelltown, and ah, crap. And I can't turn to port because there's a bloody island in the way. So, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good at all. I've popped smoke. They can't see me anymore, but, well, they know I'm here. I need to slow down or I'm going to run out of the smoke screen. But I don't want to be going slow when there's a whole bunch of enemy ships shooting at me. And, ah, crap, they've seen me just as I slowed down. No, this isn't good at all. And there's the Campbelltown. He spotted me again. And now I'm back in the smoke. And I didn't get hit. And now I'm spotted again. Screw this. Go faster, go faster, go faster, get the torpedoes away, and just about the only thing that keeps me alive here is the fact that the Campbelltown's guns are so shit. If that had been an American destroyer, I would have been in a lot of trouble. Oh crap, there's his torpedoes. Go slower, go slower, go slower, and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn, and that's enough, and turn the other way and go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster. There's a lot of enemy ships shooting at me here, and those are just the ones I can see. I made it out here by the skin of my teeth. What I was actually doing, I'm actually steering using the map, and I'm looking back towards the enemy ships to see where their shells are coming from. Right here. Because that was far too close. I need to see the shots coming so I can dodge them. So I'm actually not even looking where I'm steering. And I'm just using the map to guide my course. And doing the hippie hippie shake with all my might. Swinging that ass around, and they've lost sight of me. Right, so about that Wyoming. I think I will go for him after all, actually. Damn, that was close. Alright, that Wyoming has torpedo bomber problems. I don't know if he's noticed them, but his AI gunners certainly have. They've opened up. And there are the torpedoes. Okay. I have to admit that from this angle it looks like he's not actually taking evasive maneuvers, and yet every single one of those torpedoes misses. So let's assume he is actually paying attention, and I've wandered inside detection range, so I'm now lit up on the map for him to see, and I know he's seen me because he shoots at me. He misses, but he's definitely aware that I'm here. Alright. First spread of really slow torpedoes in the water, and it takes this long to get the ship turned around and get the second spread of torpedoes away, and that bloody Campbelltown is still shooting. Doesn't he know we're on the same side? He had a real hard-on for me in this match. Don't worry, that's going to come back to bite him in the arse later. You see, the thing about these two different torpedo launchers on opposite sides of the ship in the Campbelltown is it can work to your advantage if you're putting all 6 of the torpedoes in the water against the same target. Because the second set of torpedoes are launched from a different direction and a different position to the first set of torpedoes, because it takes you that long to turn the ship around, which means that it makes it quite tricky for a target like a battleship to avoid both spreads, even if they are paying attention. And the Wyoming was paying attention. He turned in to avoid the first spread, but that just meant that the second spread was coming in from an angle and was more likely to hit him. And yes, I've just run into an island because I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. The Wyoming saw the second spread, realised he was going to take a lot of damage, and tried to turn out the way of those, which put him square back in the path of the first spread of torpedoes. So even though he was heading directly towards me, I still managed to hit him with one. And now, of course, I've really upset him. And he's turning to broadside in order to get all of his guns pointing at the destroyer that just beached itself by running into an island. But there are more torpedoes in the water. Anyway, do you remember the other Campbelltown on the enemy team? Yeah, there he is, little traitor to king and country. He's still trying to sink me. I'll see you swing from the tallest yard arm in Pompey Harbour for that, good sir. Okay, he's got a lot more health than me, and while his guns are terrible, so are mine. And screw this, I'm getting out of here. Now, we're both right at the extreme limit of our detection range here, and he only sees me when I fire, and I only see him when he fires. So I know that the second I see him, I need to start dodging because there are already shots in the air. That's the only reason I can see him again. So we keep this up for a bit, but he's making an end run on our carriers. And at some point he's going to have to choose between shooting at me and going after that Langley. And, well, no destroyer captain worth his salt is going to pass up the opportunity to sink a carrier. And this next bit's kind of bizarre, because in the length of time it took me to get around that island and start shooting at him again as he's dodging the torpedoes launched by our carriers, he didn't take any damage from anything. And then that salvo sets him on fire, and then I can't shoot at him anymore. And by the time I get around the other side of the island, he's still burning. He dodged the torpedoes, the dive bombers missed him. I'm the only one that did any damage to him. Although something else is shooting at him now, and he just seemed to forget that he can put the fire out. So there's my second kill, and then, oh crap, every tier 3 destroyer captain's worst nightmare, the USS St. Louis. And I'm going to need to use my damage control ability because he just did a lot of damage and set me on fire in 2 locations. I pop smoke, but I'm going too fast. Slow down, try to stay inside the smoke screen. Torpedoes in the water, and he's hit me, so he knows that even if he can't see me, he just needs to keep firing at the same direction, start speeding up and moving, trying to get back inside the smoke screen, dodge outside of the smoke screen. Oh crap, more torpedoes in the water. But this guy's nobody's fool. He's changed course. The first set of torpedoes are going to miss. He can see me again. He's turned straight towards me, so the second set of torpedoes aren't going to hit either, and now I'm living on borrowed time, and that's when a friendly battleship smacks him right in the side, leaves him on 20 health, and while the guns on the Campbelltown may be crap, but if you're in a St. Louis on 20 health and I'm firing high explosive, I really only need to hit you once. Somehow, once again, I got away with it. And before too long, we're going to win on points. Yeah, I quite like the Campbelltown. It's better than the Mutsuki, and the Mutsuki's tier 6. I recently unlocked the Mutsuki again. Didn't like it much in the closed beta, and I don't like it much now either. It's really not a very good ship, although it's better now than it was in the closed beta, not because they've changed the Mutsuki, but because they've nerfed the Minakaze at tier 5. The Minakaze no longer gets 10km range torpedoes. If you want those, you have to upgrade, and I use the word upgrade in the loosest possible sense of the word, to the Mutsuki at tier 6. Playing the Mutsuki well is difficult because the Mutsuki is a one-trick pony. All it's good for is firing torpedoes at long range, and it's not particularly good at that because the torpedoes are really, really slow. Now you can use the Mutsuki to scout, as with any destroyer, but it's dangerous as all hell in the Mutsuki because if you run into an American destroyer while you're spotting a cap circle, for example, you're going to get caned, because the Mutsuki has guns that make the Campbelltown look good. It only has 2 of them for a start, and they have a turret rotation speed that would embarrass a battleship. So I've just been spotted by a pair of Russian destroyers, which is just as, if not more dangerous than getting spotted by a pair of American destroyers, so yeah, screw that. So I can't contest the cap in the Mutsuki, not when there are a couple of Russian destroyers in there. It would be suicide. So what else can you do? Well, you can do the solo ninja thing that people do in Japanese destroyers and just head off one flank on your own and hope that you don't run into a destroyer or get spotted by a cruiser and look for big fat juicy targets like other battleships or aircraft carriers. And that certainly works. But what I've found useful to do in the Mutsuki is shadow your own battleships. If they're sailing around in one big group and they're actually engaging the enemy, you can do a lot worse than actually... Well, the thing is, when battleships are blazing away at each other, particularly when no destroyers are detected, well, they tend to sail in straight lines, don't they? And you can take advantage of that. New Mexico, 9.2 kilometers away. Challenge accepted. Now, obviously, I don't want to get spotted. And I don't want to get spotted because A, I don't want to get shot at, and B, well, the chances are he's not paying attention to what's happening elsewhere on the map, and he's just blazing away at all of the friendly ships on the other side of this island, but why give him a chance? The thing is, even if I wasn't here, and he was just engaged in a gunnery duel with other battleships and cruisers, he should still be changing his course and speed to make it less likely that they're going to hit him as well. He just took a citadel penetration from somebody. And if you're in a New Mexico with a Fuso shooting at you with its 14-inch guns, unlikely to penetrate your citadel if you're angling it, but he isn't. So of course he runs into all my torpedoes. And he never saw them coming. Okay, those torpedoes, they came from that Kamikaze R over there, and that's a very, very dangerous destroyer. I do not want to get seen by him. So turn away, we'll let the New Mexico worry about him. And this is just great, because you've got, I haven't been detected, and you've got all of these battleships blazing away at each other. So they're all focusing on each other, they don't know I'm here. They do know that Minakaze's there, because he's living very, very dangerously, and they've all just started panic firing at him. As well they should. So all of these guys are either focusing on enemy battleships or the destroyer that's been detected, and I'm going to get that Congo. Now, I'm inside 5 kilometers. So I am going to be spotted as soon as the Congo clears the side of this island, but at that point it's already going to be too late for him, because while these torpedoes might be slow, I'm so close now, and I've put so many of them in the water, that some of them are guaranteed to hit, even if he's paying attention. I've been spotted, he's not shooting, and I'm outside of his secondary gun battery range. He is in fact shooting at the New Mexico. How long is it going to take him to realise that he's about to get hit by a bunch of torpedoes? I think he's just started to turn away now. He waited until he got the torpedo warning indicator, at which point it is already far too late, and 2 of those hit him. But the thing about the torpedoes in the Mutsuki is that these are 10-kilometer range torpedoes, and I fired them at that Congo at a range of less than 5 kilometers, so they're still going. And you see that Texas behind the Congo? He had no excuse. The Congo could at least say, well, I got ambushed. And he did. He was always going to take one or two of those torpedoes, no matter what he did. The Texas has no excuse whatsoever. I was detected. My torpedoes were detected. I mean, the Congo detected those torpedoes all right. He detected them when two of them slammed into the side of his ship. So those torpedoes were all lit up and highlighted in the water for the Texas, and he just herp-a-derp-a-derp-a-derp. You know, as battleship players so often do. And that's really, well, that's the thing about the Mutsuki. It's very good for taking advantage of stupid players. And that's about all it's good for. Well, that's not strictly true. There is one other thing that Mutsuki is good for, and that's for fighting delaying actions. What do you mean by that, Jingles? What's a delaying action? Well, let's say, for example, your team all lemming trains over to the western side of the map and leaves the east almost completely open, or even completely open. In this case, it's only almost completely open. We've got one Miyoko who's heading over to the eastern end of the map. I was originally heading in that direction until I realised I was heading there alone, and I thought, screw that. But the Miyoko has decided to take one for the team, and in all good conscience, look at that. Just look at the amount of fire he's attracting. And I can see straight away that we're going to get overwhelmed quick on that side of the map. Now, there is a Tirpitz turned around and is heading back in that direction as well, but the Miyoko has clearly had enough. And when you're in this kind of situation, where one flank has either collapsed or is just completely open, and you can tell by the amount of fire coming in that there's a whole bunch of enemy ships pushing up that side of the map, ready to take advantage of it, and start threatening your cap, you really, really want to be in a stealthy Japanese destroyer. The enemy team actually have 4 ships coming up here. There's the Farragut that you can see over there. There's also a York, a Badioni, and an Amagi, and that's a North Carolina on our team, sorry, not a Tirpitz, but Tier 8 battleship. And now I'm pretty much forced to do what you never want to do, if you can possibly avoid it when you're in a Mutsuki, and that's fire both of your guns, because I really need to give that Farragut something else to worry about. And the North Carolina does manage to land a good hit on him, and that's going to be just enough for me to take him out. Unfortunately, it's too little and too late to save the North Carolina. So we've killed a Farragut, but we've lost half of a Miyoko and all of a North Carolina. And despite the fact that all of the team that Leading trained out to the west heavily outnumbered the enemy ships over there, they've managed to lose a cruiser over there as well, so yeah, great. Now I'm fighting a delaying action. There's me against 3 enemy ships, and aside from me, these guys all have a clear run at our cap point. Now, all is not lost, for 2 reasons. One, the Tirpitz on the team is saying there in chat, guys, we need to go back. They've got a clear run at the base. Well, they don't have a clear run at the base because I'm here. But it's good to know that the cavalry is on its way. But it's going to take time to get here. So I have to buy time for the team to get back here and defeat this attack up the western end of the map. Luckily, I'm in a Mutsuki. And if there's one thing that the Mutsuki is very, very good at doing, in fact, there is only one thing that the Mutsuki is very, very good at doing. And that's not saying a lot, because let's face it, all Japanese destroyers are very good at doing this. It's fighting a delaying action, staying outside of detection range, and making enemy battleships and cruisers think twice about sailing in straight lines. You really don't want to be taking the shortest possible route to the enemy flag when there's an unspotted Japanese destroyer out there somewhere. Now, I have 2 torpedo launchers, and they take about a minute to reload. So what I'm not doing is firing both launchers at the same target at the same time. I'm staggering my launch. There's a hit. This means I can put a set of torpedoes in the water roughly every 30 seconds. And that's forcing these guys, or at least the ones that I can see, don't worry, there are more on the way. That's forcing these guys to make radical course changes every 30 seconds instead of every minute, so it's buying more time for the team to get their asses back over here. So that York over there at least is no longer quite so keen to just charge straight for our cap circle. And I'm also spotting him, by the way, for the Tirpitz, who is coming back to defend the cap. And he's got some cruiser support as well. And this is where things almost go horribly, horribly wrong. I'm closing in on the inside of the island here to get a closer range shot off at the York to give them less chance of avoiding by making a sudden course change, and I know I'm going to get detected if I approach within 6 kilometers, and that's when the other two show up. So this couldn't have happened at a worst possible time. To make matters worse, the York picks this exact moment to turn in order to get away from the fire of the Tirpitz and the cruiser that's with him, and that of course brings him inside the magic 6 kilometer range at which I'll be detected. So, oh crap. And all three of those ships can now hit me. So, help. I'm getting the hell out of here. I pop my smoke, my engine boost's active. Come on. I've managed to get away with it so far. And that turn, unfortunately for the York, has put him slap bang right in the path of all of those torpedoes that I just launched. Although he does get a little parting love kiss on me just as the torpedoes sink him. So I took some damage, but I think it was worth it. More importantly, there were 4 ships rushing on cap. I've killed 2 of them and bought time for the cavalry to get back here and fight these guys on, well, it's not even terms anymore, because now we outnumber them. And they don't know where I am anymore. I've got to give the enemy Amagi captain his due. He did not make it easy. I had to put a lot of torpedoes in the water before some of them eventually hit him. And, yeah, I mean, he wasn't your typical or stereotypical stupid big dumb battleship driver. He kept that thing twisting and turning and definitely made me work to get those 2 torpedo hits. But, well, if I'm sitting outside a detection range and I'm firing torpedoes every 30 seconds, it's only a matter of time. And when you're being shot at by 3 enemy ships, including 1 Tier 8 Tirpitz battleship, and there's a Mutsuki sitting outside a detection range firing torpedoes at you every 30 seconds, I don't care how good you are in the Amagi, you're going down. In case you're wondering where the Bidioni went, he turned tail and ran away. Can't really blame him. We won this one. And I like to think that we won it because I stayed to defend this flank. Oh, there he is. Run away, little girl. Run away. Anyway, I promised you some torpedo fail, didn't I? Well, don't worry, it's coming. But first, this. I took the Fairy Taco out for a spin earlier. I never used to really like this ship. The 200mm guns that it had, you thought, ooh, 200mm guns at Tier 5. Totally OP. Yeah, not really. They just weren't very good. But in the latest patch, the Furious Taco got the 203mm guns from the Alba at Tier 6. So I thought, that sounds nice. I'll give it a go, see what it's like. Yeah, not bad. Ooh, yeah, that's going to leave a mark. Yeah, I think I'm starting to get the picture. These are really good guns. And yet, satisfying though it is having this kind of firepower in a Tier 5 cruiser, I feel that it's distracting Japanese cruiser captains away from the true and noble pursuit of driving Japanese cruisers, which is closing the suicide range and ramming your torpedoes right up people's backsides. Yeah, I think I quite like the Ferengi testicle now. It's a good ship. Anyway, my God, we're coming up to 40 minutes. I've just had fun doing this video, and I really didn't want to stop. But I do need to show you that torpedo fail, don't I? That's coming up in the final clip. Earlier today, I took the Cleveland out for a spin. It's been a long, long time since I played this ship. I absolutely adored this ship back in the closed beta test. It was gloriously overpowered, and it did need a nerf, and so what they did is they reduced drastically the velocity of the shells fired by the main battery guns. They stay in the air for a long, 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 long time, which means that it does take some getting used to exactly how much lead you need to give to a target if you plan on hitting them with the Cleveland. And while a lot of people treat the Cleveland as a high explosive spammer, and that can work, you'd be surprised how much damage you can do if you hit the right target with armor piercing from these guns. There they go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits on the Auber. He's out of line of sight though, so I don't know how much damage I did. Let's wait for him to clear the island. Oh, there he is. He's like, where did my health go? It was only a Cleveland. You will respect the Cleveland's authority. Anyway, I promised you a torpedo fail. Don't worry, here it comes. Shortly afterwards, our Congo-class battleship runs into some pretty serious destroyer problems. He's in a narrow channel, and that's a Hatsuharu. It's a Japanese Tier 7 destroyer. Now, the Congo's doing what he can. He's pointing the bow of the ship straight towards the destroyer to give him the narrowest possible target to hit with torpedoes. I'm doing what I can to help him, but, well, my shooting could have been better, and that destroyer was not making it easy. He's ducking and weaving all over the place, and I just couldn't land a hit on him. So, Congo, you're on your own. The Hatsuharu closes to point-blank range. He can put 6 torpedoes in the water that each do over 17,000 damage and move so quickly at that range you have no chance of avoiding them. There they go. 5 of them hit, 1 of them missed. Congo takes no damage. Hatsuharu basically gets deleted. He's like, dude, hacks! That's it, I'm uninstalling this game. I hit you with 5 torpedoes. Well, torpedoes have a minimum arming range, dude. He's there in chat complaining that he launched them from like a meter away. What do you think is going to happen to a destroyer if 650 pounds of Torpex explodes a meter away from the hull? They have to arm before they will explode on impact. You got too close. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Hopefully he learned something. Back to battleship drivers who like sailing in straight lines. You know, you're not just making it easy for destroyers and aircraft carriers to kill you, you're making it very, very easy for cruisers that spam high explosive to kill you as well. The thing about the Cleveland is, well, you can see how long it takes these shots to reach the target. They stay in the air practically forever. And alright, the Congo can't really manoeuvre much because he's sailing through a narrow channel, but he chose to put the ship in that channel. He chose to restrict his own ability to manoeuvre. If you continue to sail in a straight line when you're being lit up by this amount of high explosive from a Cleveland, right now all I have to do to keep hitting this guy over and over and over and over is quite literally keep my finger on the left mouse button. That's it. All skill, no luck. Really, just not making it difficult. You know, I'm not an especially good World of Warships player, and I have absolutely no doubt that many especially good World of Warships players will be only too happy to confirm that based on the evidence of watching me play. I mean, and that's fine. I'm quite happy to be slightly better than average. Because in order to be slightly better than average at World of Warships and have pretty good results in most of the games that you play, all you have to do is learn a couple of basic game mechanics and then apply them to the way that you play. And if a dumb old duffer like me can finish with some kills and in the top half of the team on experience in nearly every game that I play, well, how hard can it be? Do you know what I'm saying here? Anyway, I had a lot of fun doing today's video, as you can probably tell, because I just don't know when to stop. But I'm going to call a halt to proceedings here. Hope you enjoyed today's video, folks. Have a good weekend, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.